Hello, this is Sondra Oster, Baras, bringing you a few words of Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. This week's Torah portion is Vaera. It's the second Torah portion in Exodus, and the plot thickens. We have the very beginning of the 10 plagues. Now, the first plague, of course, is blood, and we see that God speaks to Moses and commands him to go to Pharaoh early in the morning when he is going out to the Nile River. And as he is standing there on the Nile River, that Moses should take his staff and turn the water of the Nile to blood. And two things will actually happen. First of all, the water itself will become blood. That in turn will cause all the fish in the river to die, to stink, to pollute the water. And it's just an overwhelming problem with the shortage of water. And indeed, when Moses and Aaron actually do this plague, they stretch their hand not only on the Nile, but on all the tributaries that come off the Nile, the various canals, rivers, ponds, all of the different bodies of water that come off the Nile. They, put their hands, put that staff over it, and it all turns to blood. And we have a terrible situation: stinky, polluted water, no available drinking water. Now, one of the things that I find very interesting and that our sages have noted, picture this situation. Pharaoh is up early in the morning and he's going to the Nile. What is the importance of the Nile? Okay, now we all know in Egypt and in other parts of Africa to this very day, the Nile is essential, but especially in Egypt. The Nile is the source of water. And in fact, we know that in Deuteronomy 11, God refers to this fundamental difference between the Nile, or between Egypt and the land of Israel. In Deuteronomy 11, verse 10, we read as follows: "For the land that you were about to enter and possess is not like the land of Egypt, from which you have come. There the grain you sowed had to be watered by your own, were watered by your feet." Okay, it says here your own labors, but that's wrong. By your feet, like a vegetable garden, but the land you're about to cross into and possess, a land of hills and valleys, soaks up its water from the rains of heaven. What does that mean? A land that you watered by your feet. The Nile is the source of water in Egypt, and the way they water all of the area, which they call the Nile Delta, is they would build canals that would bring water from the Nile all the way through to the various agricultural fields in that area. And this is a system that I believe they still do today, but it goes back to ancient times. And that's the meaning of watering by your feet. In other words, it's down on the ground. These canals are what water, the canals coming from the river is what waters the crops, as opposed to Israel, where we rely on the rain. And this indeed means that the Nile River is hugely, hugely important to Egypt. And the rain does not come into Egypt. The rain comes at the source of the Nile, down by Victoria Falls in the middle of Africa. And so this means that the Nile has a very important place in the economy and health of the entire Egyptian society. And our sages say that indeed the Nile reached the level of a god. Now we know that Egypt is a pagan society, that Pharaoh himself has a status of a demigod, and that the river itself, the Nile itself, has divine attributes. Whether it is actually a god or whether because it is so important to the life and sustenance of the country, I don't know, but I do know this is how our sages interpreted this. And therefore what you see is Pharaoh getting up in the morning, going to the river that is so vital to him, that he may even pray to, okay? He certainly honors the river. Moses and Aaron meeting him there and essentially firing the first shot of the war between God and Pharaoh. Now we know God is going to win this war. God could have won it in a second, but God is purposely prolonging the war because he's trying to teach Pharaoh and the Egyptians a lesson, and actually he's trying to teach the children of Israel a lesson by being spectators in this amazing drama. So the first strike, of course, is to take that precious Nile that provides sustenance, that Nile that Pharaoh deifies, and turn that into blood. Okay, and that is really very, very amazing. And unlike some of the okay, so, and that's something that's a real blow, okay? But at the same time, we have Pharaoh striking back, and he has his own magicians, and his magicians are also able to turn water into blood. And so basically, he's not impressed, okay? And the second plague is the frogs, also coming from the water, but from the water onto land, a big problem. Even so, Moses is able to, retract those frogs, put them back in the Nile, and in that way show what's going on to Pharaoh. But he's not interested. It does absolutely nothing to him. What's interesting is when it comes to the lice. The lice, of course, has nothing to do with the water, but we see here a very interesting step in verse 14. At the point at which Moses and Aaron hits the ground and produces the lice, the magicians of Pharaoh tried to do the same thing, and here it says they were not able to. Okay, they were not able to reproduce the same thing with their spells. And so here, of course, doesn't convince Pharaoh, but we can see how this battle is being carried out. Initially, the first strike against this major power in the eyes of the Egyptians, and little by little, we're going to move along. Here, for the first time with the lice, the magicians cannot replicate this, and of course, we see as we move on that the plagues will become much more difficult, and we have a sense that Pharaoh at some point is just being very stubborn. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you enjoyed that video, and we'd like to be sure you're getting all of our video content. So just click on the subscribe button below, as well as on the notification bell, and that way you will have easy access to all our material. We look forward to staying in touch with you. God bless you, and have a wonderful day.